What is up, everyone? Night Fury here from the Brothers Williams. It's just me today. Kyle is off in England with family doing a vacation for a little bit, so it's just me right now. So, I've been wanting to get towards this one for a little while, but I've been forgetting to do it, just didn't have time during school. But now, finally did it. So, we're going to get right into my review of the Aquaman movie. So, let's begin with a little preface. I love DC, okay? It's no secret for those who know me. And not to say that I don't like Marvel, but if I were to have to choose between the two, I would pick DC every time. Now, DC in the past has gotten a lot of crap about its movies. Most recently, the Batman vs. Superman and the Justice League, which I can understand why some people would, given how I didn't feel that Batman's character was really... I'm getting off topic already. This is how bad it is with me. Alright. Come here. Say hello to the audience. Hello. Okay. Now go away. I'm in the middle of a thing and I don't need your tail whipping me in the face. Need to focus. We're talking about Aquaman, not the whole DC versus Marvel movies and all that jazz. I'm just here to say that Aquaman, I wanted to see it when it first came out, didn't have a chance to, but now I have. So, let's get into the review of the movie. Alright, so, first things first. The cast and the crew. It was directed by James Wan and written by several people. David Leslie, Will Beal, Johnson McColdrick, or is that the same person? And also Jeff Johns, who's a writer at DC Comics, and James Wan did also write a little bit, as well as Will Beal again. So there's all that. I think that the story was very well written. We got to look into Aquaman's backstory, how he feels about himself and his place in the world, or worlds in this case. We kind of get to see what things really shaped him, and as far as like the storytelling goes, they did a really good job of showing and not telling, or rather showing with telling. Like, for example, his backstory, because at this point in the story he's fully grown. So what they did was they showed us flashbacks, but they did it in a way that it didn't pull away from the story. It kept us still in the moment of what was going on, but still made it applicable to what was happening to Aquaman in that particular moment. So I thought that was really good. The cast, oh my gosh. The cast was so good. So let's start from supporting actors up. We got a ton of kids playing as young Arthur. Julie Andrews was apparently in this. She voiced the big kraken creature, which I didn't know about. That was pretty cool to find out. We've got Tamora Morrison, aka Django Fett, playing as not King Arthur. I'm Although that is technically his title now. He is King Arthur. But Aquaman's dad. How cool is that? I recognized his voice almost immediately. Just because I've played so much Republic Commando. But, yeah, Tamora Morrison did a great job as Arthur's father. And I'm going to butcher this name, but Yahya Abdul Mateen II, he played Black Manta, which, in a way, I think DC's doing a really good job at the moment of playing up their villains. I mean, Ares from Wonder Woman and Black Manta here, you can't help but empathize with these villains, just seeing the way they think and the things that have sort of driven them to what they are. I mean, especially for Black Manta. I kind of felt sorry for him for a little bit, and I was so glad that they didn't kill him off. I mean, I hate that when they kill off a villain that they introduce into a movie like that, especially for comic book movies. It's just, you've got so much to work with, and you've got these great characters. Don't kill them off immediately. That's poor writing. So I'm glad that they did that and they went the route they did with it. It kind of feels like they're really gearing up for the Legion of Doom, so I'm excited for that. Certainly more excited than Darkseid or Steppenwolf, whatever. Speaking of which, there are rumors going around about they're working on a Snyder cut of Dawn of Justice. Or, no, not Dawn of Justice, Justice League. But I haven't yet double-checked the sources to see if that's actually happening. So if it is, let me know in the comments so that we can put our heads together and see what's actually going on. Anyway, back to the actors. Nicole Kidman played Aquaman's mother, which I didn't recognize her. She did a really good job of that role. You've got, speaking of comic book characters, William Dafoe, who played Green Goblin in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. He did well. And Amber Heard is Mera, the leading lady of the film. Great job. And of course, Jason Momoa as Arthur/Aquaman. Now, Jason Momoa, he has done a wonderful job. I've never seen Game of Thrones. I know, I'm a terrible such and such, whatever you want to say. But, so I don't know his acting experience outside of Justice League. But what I've seen of him as a person outside of the movies, he has put a little bit of himself into the character of Aquaman. Like with his clearly New Zealandic upbringing being brought into the character. I don't think that was ever a thing in the comics. And of course, Tamora Morrison is also New Zealander, so they had to play on that, which I think was a really good choice to make, especially for the sort of upbringing that Aquaman had, along with his sort of love of life and love of fun. He brings that to the Aquaman character, which I would say out of DC's Justice League characters, most of the time Aquaman gets a lot of crap. Like, oh, I can talk to fish and that's it. Oh, I'm such a great hero. Oh no, there's no water. So, you know, a lot of people have been giving him crap over the years for that. But as far as his acting goes, I prefer when an actor puts a bit of themselves into their character, because it really makes that character they're playing their own. Having done theater in high school and most of junior high, that was how I approached characters. I'd put a little bit of the character into myself and a little bit of myself into the character, and that way the character was more believable. It came off more naturally. And I think that shows a lot in how Jason Momoa plays his character of Aquaman. Now, not having seen his Game of Thrones persona, I can't say if that's how he does it every time, but I think here it works. Now, the movie itself, very visually pleasing. It was so nice to look at and see all the creativity that went into what they were doing with building the underwater cities, the different sorts of people that came out of it. As far as the music went, I mean, it was alright, but it wasn't memorable. Like, I just watched it yesterday night, and I can't really recall the music very much. So, I mean, but that's a problem with most modern movies nowadays, is their music just is not memorable. Now, oh, what else can be said about this movie? I really liked Aquaman's sort of struggle, his inner conflict that he had going on of being of two worlds, of the land and of the sea, because of his mom and dad. And his having to come to terms with being considered a half-breed and the idea of being worthy to become king. In a way, he's basically the Thor of the Justice League. He comes from another world, he's meant to be king, but he doesn't feel worthy. And, you know, he's got a special trident that only responds to the true king. So in a way, they're very similar, but the resolution of that conflict is very different. Especially with his half-brother, King Orm? Or was it Nereus? I don't know. There's so many characters in this movie, it's kind of hard to keep track of them. But Aquaman's half-brother being king, and, you know, the claim to the throne, you know, because technically Aquaman is the oldest, so by birthright it's his, but, oh, you're a filthy half-breed, and blah blah blah, you're a bastard child, you don't deserve it. That sort of thing. His conflict is different enough from Thor to where they're not the same character. And I think that really works for this. Especially with, you know, the tone that DC's going for. I think they're finally hitting their stride for the Justice League movies. I mean, they hit it with Wonder Woman. Batman vs. Superman had some problems with interpretation of characters, and Justice League, well, that had problems like Zack's daughter dying mid-filming and having to switch directors between then, and a director with a very different vision than what Zack had. And DC's had a rough go of it lately. But the Christopher Nolan movies, I think they're great. Definitely better than the earlier Batman movies. I'm looking at you, Tim Burton! Anyway, so I think Aquaman was great. I loved it. I would probably go out and buy it, or at least rent it again, at the very least. So yeah, my take, definitely worth seeing. If you could see it in the theaters, I definitely recommend it. Now, I'm looking forward to what DC's going to be doing next. I still haven't seen Shazam, which I need to. Kyle and I are planning on seeing that one, so we'll be doing a review of Shazam. And I'm excited for the second Wonder Woman movie. I think that's going to be great. Because Gal Gadot, she is Wonder Woman. I don't think anyone else could nail that role the way she does. So, looking forward to that. I think that's everything that I can think of at the moment. I'm sure Kyle would have other things to say, but... So, we'll save that for next time. And until then, that, as they say, is that. My boy, this is the sort of peace that all great warriors strive for.